Building a Secure Home Network by Shay Friel. Introduction. Cybersecurity is protecting all computers, networks, data, and programs across the world from unauthorized access and cyber attacks. New attacks and threats are made every day by malicious hackers. They can vary from small but harmful attacks, such as someone trying to steal your Facebook password, to national level cyber warfare between governments. Unless you're not up to date with the technological future, which is 2020, almost every homeowner in the world has a home network setup connected to the internet, with a router and an access point connecting IoT devices such as smart TVs, smartphones, laptops, CCTV setup, Amazon Alexa, and more. This project is about designing and implementing a home network, connecting different IoT devices with little security and vulnerabilities to demonstrate how they will be affected if attacked. Two different cyber attacks will be used to penetrate the network: a phishing attack and a man-in-the-middle app spoofing attack. Penetrating the network with these devices will allow the user to see how the network is vulnerable when there is no security, and will also provide solutions to prevent the attacks. The aim and objectives. The aim of this project is to build a home network and attempt to penetrate the network through a series of experiments with different cyber attacks in order to identify the vulnerabilities and provide solutions to maintain a secure network. The objectives for this project are a literature review of books, articles, and journals on network vulnerability and security, investigate threats, vulnerabilities, and cyber attacks, design and implement a home network, carry out experiments on the network using penetration testing software and hardware, and analyze the results and findings and provide solutions to avoid the attacks. The literature review. This literature review will consist of four main topics: the Internet of Things, email phishing, man-in-the-middle, and Wi-Fi security protocols. The Internet of Things. Before the world took a leap forward in technology with the Internet of Things, social media, and internet access, there wasn't any extensive threats to wireless networks across the globe, and people could keep personal data in their home without the worry of being attacked. In 2019, Alandron Day released his book, The Internet of Things: Advantages, Challenges, and Applications, where he talks about the birth of the phenomenon the Internet of Things and how it changed the perspective of technology by saving time and efficiency through machine-to-machine communication. This allowed for a ubiquitous connection to personal devices and smart computing anywhere in the world. Although this benefits most people, it also means personal data may not be as secure as it once was. According to the IoT Analytics, the definition of IoT is sensors and actuators embedded in physical objects are linked through wired and wireless networks. The Internet of Things has benefited the world and the people within in many ways, allowing businesses to thrive through new technology, improving their existing systems, reducing human efforts, real-time marketing, and efficient resource utilization. Although IoT has opened the gateway to many new technologies and devices, it's not all benefits and welfare. Along with every advantage comes a disadvantage. The same principle as for every new device connected to the internet can be a new cyber attack threat to that device. Additionally, some of the most common home network cyber attacks are viruses, Trojan horse, phishing, DDoS attacks, spyware, WPA2 key reinstallation attack, and man-in-the-middle attacks. An article from the literature review called A Google for Hackers explains how hackers use the tools in Shodan, which is a search engine for the Internet of Things, to find vulnerable devices and exploit them using their information with cyber attacks. Email phishing. Phishing is a social engineering attack and is one of the more vulnerable and highly sophisticated types of cyber attack. An article on phishing risks justifies phishing emails as getting sent out to victims disguised as weapons, and fake websites are created to try and trick the user into sending information directly to the hacker. The objective here is to try and steal sensitive information from the victim by leading them into deception, sending them emails which catch their attention, providing something that they want or need, and mislead them into sending information to the wrong person or organisation. An article by the BBC has said that, to this date, one of the most popular ways of scamming people is by phishing, and the attack has been around since 1990. The African Journal of Information Systems published a journal by Paula Masuva discussing the experiment they conducted at a university campus in Kenya. This was a study to determine how many users were susceptible to phishing, where 241 users who played a part called insiders were targeted in a staged phishing experiment. The results shown that 88% of users revealed their username and passwords to the attackers unknowingly, and 31% were susceptible to phishing. These results illustrate how professional phishing attacks are created. Phishing.org report an explanation of some fundamental ways of preventing phishing attacks, such as installing an anti-phishing toolbar, keeping informed of phishing techniques by reading blogs and news articles, and think before you click protocol. Man-in-the-middle attack. A man-in-the-middle attack is where a hacker intercepts communication between two entities in order to eavesdrop or manipulate the network traffic. T.A. Nadecki said that man-in-the-middle attacks had been around even before the arrival of computers. Used during World War II, British intelligence used the attack against Nazi forces using aspidistra devices. One of the most famous man-in-the-middle cases in recent years was in 2015, when 340,000 was stolen from a British couple from eavesdropping/email hijacking. This project focuses on ARP spoofing, which is an attack used to intercept communications across a network, allowing you to sniff traffic going between the target and the internet. ARP spoofing is when an attacker sends forged ARP messages over the LAN, changing the ARP catch table and linking the attacker's MAC address with the host IP address on the network, which diverts traffic directly to the hacker instead of the original host. Gouda and Chintasir suggested solving an uncertified ARP table renewal from an ARP reply through a certain protocol, but it is nearly impossible to modify the current ARP protocol, even though this would conquer the problems of ARP. There is no working security mechanism to prevent ARP spoofing, but there are some steps available to take to weaken the threat. The first step in understanding the spoofing process, in order to identify when an IP address is falsified and an attacker is present. Installing a detection tool is the obvious prevention to one of these attacks, which many users oversee and regret using when they are attacked. Setting up packet filtering is another great way to inspect and catch poison packets before they reach their destination. Wi-Fi security protocols. Every person with a home network setup has come across the acronyms WEP, WPA, and WPA2, which are the three most common types of Wi-Fi security protocol. When installing a new router, it offers the user different encryption for Wi-Fi security protocols. Understanding the differences between these protocols and picking the correct version for your Wi-Fi security will make a huge difference in preventing unauthorized access in the future. An article by J. Fitzpatrick explains the difference between WEP, WPA, and WPA2, where he explains that wired equivalent privacy is generally the most used Wi-Fi security protocol in the world. It has been around since 1999 and over the years has displayed a variety of security flaws, leading to the Wi-Fi Alliance officially retiring the WEP standard in 2004. The Wi-Fi Alliance then announced a replacement which would overcome the apparent vulnerabilities of WEP, announcing Wi-Fi Protected Access (WPA) in 2003, a year before WEP was retired. The major difference compared to WEP and WPA was the 256-bit keys. Wi-Fi Protected Access 2 is the newer version of WPA and is recommended over its predecessor. WPA2 surpassed WPA in 2006 with many improvements like the use of AES algorithms and the replacement of TKIP with the introduction of CCMP. In order to penetrate the network with attacks, the attacker needs to access the Wi-Fi network to be able to gain access to the keys and exploit other devices on the network. In 2017, Matthew Van Hoof and Frank Pearsons, security researchers from Belgium's KU Leuven University, introduced the key reinstallation attack. They quoted, "This attack abuses design implementation flaws in cryptographic protocols to reinstall an already in use key. An attacker needs to dupe the third step in the four-way handshake in the WPA2 security protocol, which controls the login of a new device seeking to join and verifies if the correct credentials have been logged. Crack, short for key reinstallation attack, manages to fool the network by making the four-way handshake think it's generating a new encryption key, but instead reusing a previously issued encryption key from a familiar device." Matthew Van Hoof reported, "The attack works against all modern Wi-Fi networks. The weakness is in the Wi-Fi standard itself, and not in the individual products or implementations. Therefore, any correct implementation of WPA2 is likely affected." The design and implementation. Here's the design and implementation of a home network which consists of a BT home router, an access point, an Apple MacBook Pro laptop, Apple iPad, an Android smartphone. These devices were chosen because they are some of the most popular IoT devices in home networks, and I want to show a strong experiment that people could relate to. This design also had a smart TV, but it was taken out in the end because of the errors Kali Linux was producing when I was trying to penetrate the device with different cyber attacks. The main results. Experiment 1. Results: email phishing. The email phishing attacks were successful and harvested credentials from the victims. A counterfeit Google email was sent out to the victims' devices, prompting them to log into their accounts within 24 hours because there was a possible breach of someone trying to log on into their account of an unknown device. All three victims' devices logged on with a Gmail username and password, revealing the information to the attacker's laptop. The result of the phishing email against the Apple iPad was username ruthfriel65@gmail.com and password jakefriel123. The results of the second email against Android smartphone was username deanbrown1978@gmail.com and password kyberrangersfc2009. The results of the attack were revealed by the Apple Mac laptop was username jackwilliams@gmail.com and password bruno123. These results were exactly what were expected, providing evidence that the everyday home user is vulnerable to phishing email attacks and are far more likely to fall for most phishing attacks and get their credentials harvested. These results relate to some of the work discussed in the literature review, with the experiment conducted by Paula Masuva in Kenya seen 88% of users reveal their sensitive information to the attacker unknowingly, like the results shown in this experiment. Here are some screenshots of the email phishing attacks. Users of IoT devices play a big role in successful phishing attacks, not thinking before clicking and falling for every email, message, mobile phone scam there is. This links back to the literature review, where 90% of successful phishing attacks are caused by human error. These results collected showed some interesting correlations, seeing that the victims did not take long to log on to the corrupt email, revealing their password and sensitive information. This was probably a result of a little persuasion and seduction attached in the email, where a timestamp was given saying an email was going to expire within 24 hours and grant access to the unknown device trying to log in. Some preventions of email phishing attacks the experiment provided are: think before you click, use email tracing software to detect suspicious emails, use browsers such as Chrome and Firefox, which provide security against phishing emails by detecting blacklisted emails and URLs used from previous attacks. Overall, the results shown from the experiment show that the literature review suggested that what would happen, making the experiment successful and providing specific results that were expected. Experiment 2 results: man-in-the-middle ARP spoofing. Sending forward ARP messages over the network from the attacker's laptop was successful and allowed the attacker to sniff the victim's network traffic. All three devices were chosen to experiment on with the ARP spoof attack to demonstrate validity and reliability in the results. The first attack was ARP spoofing the Apple iPad. The attacker gained access to the network traffic and was able to see the user searching for websites on the Bing browser and an iTunes log in which the attacker could sniff out the credentials using Wireshark. A second result from this experiment came from the Android smartphone, where the attacker gained access to the network traffic and was able to spy on the smartphone, posed as a man in the middle, using Wireshark to sniff out packets coming from an Android smartphone, and he seen that the user was frequently visiting Match.com, a dating website for lonely humans. The final ARP spoof attack deployed against the Apple laptop, showing that the user on the laptop was frequently using Google and Bing. This isn't necessarily going to provide the attacker with sensitive information, but if the user was to go and buy something online or log into Facebook or another social media platform, the attacker could sniff out the packets and steal credit card credentials and username and passwords. These results were expected, providing the given research in the literature review. The results were never expected to be any different from the ones achieved through the experiment. This links back to some of the literature review of the experiment conducted by Xionggo Pong, where they conducted numerous ARP spoofing experiments in order to find a defense mechanism and patch of vulnerabilities. The results provided the conclusion that there is not yet an available ARP spoofing defense mechanism, and the only way to combat the attack is by detecting it as quick as possible. Downloading an antivirus software in order to detect any strange behavior in the ARP cache is one of the key solutions to detect ARP spoofing early. Some correlations from Some correlations from the results was the attacker was always able to sniff traffic and see everything the user is doing. This suggests this suggests that the app spoofing is extremely vulnerable when it comes to data privacy, so home users should take extra steps in protecting the network by applying the best security for the network and the devices. For instance, having a WPA2 protocol, downloading antivirus software, having a man-in-the-middle detection software, and keep devices updated at all times. Overall, these results were expected, objectives were met, and partial ways of prevention of app spoofing were discussed. But as of 2020, there still isn't a reliable defense mechanism to defend against app spoofing. Here are the links to the cyber attack videos posted on YouTube. Conclusion. This report has included an introduction of the Internet of Things, a review of literature, research methodology, a design implementation, and an evaluation of the project. The aim of this project was to build a home network and attempt to penetrate the network through a series of experiments with different cyber attacks in order to identify the vulnerabilities and provide the solutions to maintain a secure network. The project was started to test the results of other researchers' work to see if the results were valid and reliable. Three main topics in the literature were phishing attacks, man-in-the-middle app spoofing, and Wi-Fi security protocols. One key finding from the literature review was 90% of phishing attacks are successful due to human error, meaning that they play a big role in the vulnerability of secure home networks. The main findings of solutions to prevent the threat. The main findings of solutions to prevent the threats of cyber attacks in the report are always keeping devices updated, and a newer version of software is what could keep an attacker out. Installing an antivirus software is a must if important data goes across the network frequently. The main findings in the experiment to maintain a secure network is encryption, using the highest level of security as possible, as attackers can attack from mostly anywhere, and you will be unaware of the attack until it's too late. Recommendations. If this project was to expand and undergo further work, the design of the network would be larger, including smarter IoT devices like smart cars, watches, and household smart energy, making the design a real-life scenario home network. The experiment would also expand adding more cyber attacks to test against the devices on the network, making the project more enjoyable whilst learning at the same time. It would also be interesting to explore other avenues, including different operating systems, cyber attack, and penetration tools. The next project on building a secure home network could focus on business and organizations who have a larger struggle with cybersecurity, making it a challenge to build even bigger networks and deploy even more cyber attacks. Here's the project plan Gantt chart created in Microsoft Project. References. Thanks for listening.